In the heart of the Florida swamps, Clermont, where no soldier dared to tread in it, one spirit refused to die. Here, the Seminole moved like shadows, unseen, untouched, unconquered. This was more than land. It was a living heart that beat beneath the moss and mist. Among these waters, a people found home. Exiles turned into a nation of the wild. From these waters rose a boy, born of stillness and flame, destined to defy empires. They said the spirits of the swamp guarded their own, and among them, a warrior was chosen.
Their drums spoke to the sky, a promise that no storm.
His name would be Osceola, the one who would never bow, the fire the swamp refused to drown. In the hidden heart of the swamp, a new generation awoke beneath the mist Chesrus, born of loss, bound by survival. His blood carried two worlds, Creek and English dact, but his soul belonged to the swamp alone. He learned that to survive was to strike first, Yinchagan, swift, unseen, and without fear. The elders spoke of the earth as mother and the swamp as shield, Tempth, lessons carved into his spirit. His people carried memories of flight, driven from their homes, bound to the refuge of the swamp.
From her songs, he learned the stories of exile and the strength to endure without hatred.
Outsiders saw only wilderness bring, never the heartbeat that lived beneath its stillness. Between two worlds he walked, one of the swamp and one that sought to claim it. He hunted not for sport, but for the silence of hunger kept at bay. Even the sky seemed restless let, echoing the storm that would one day bear his name.
In the breath, before the storm, a seed of rebellion took root in his heart.
Let them come. The swamp protects us.
From Georgia to Florida, the map changed aim, and with it, the fate of a people.
They moved through forests and rivers, not by choice, but by the push of an ever-hungry border.
Here, in the water and mist, they found refuge Kanjamit, and a new beginning among the reeds. Runaway slaves came seeking sanctuary, and found brothers among the wild ones of the swamp.
Around the fire they became one, bound not by blood but by freedom shared.
Among them rose a voice, fierce and unyielding Trulin, the swamp's own son, Osceola. Creek blood flowed in his veins, but his heartbeat was Seminole farsing, wild, untamed, free. But peace came with deceit, trade for trust, promises for silence. Under fire and song, they forged a promise. The land would never bow again. They called themselves Seminoles, Ferries, from the word cimarron, frich, wild, free, untamed. They swear upon the spirits of the swamp tast, to live free or die beneath the water's veil. They had been outcasts, fugitives, forgotten, but in the swamp, they became a nation reborn. Whispers of peace drifted through the village's wells, promises carried on the wind, heavy with doubt. Then came the bluecoats, their words polite, their purpose heavy with conquest. Beneath the old cypress, two worlds met, one seeking signatures, the other seeking truth. And from the crowd stepped one voice tout, Osceola, the fire of the swamp made flesh.
Sign this, and your people will be safe in the West.
Safe? Beyond the swamp. there is no home.
The chiefs wavered timed, trapped between the sword and the paper, between hope and humiliation. Even as ink touched the page, the storm gathered, not of weather, but of war. That night, his voice rose above the rain, a cry of defiance echoing through the Everglades. In the soldiers' tents, they called it diplomacy, but in the swamp, it was remembered as deceit.
Even the chief could not find words, for every promise sounded like the thunder before ruin. Osceola saw through the lie quantity, a treaty not of peace, but of erasure.
December 1835 dawned. The storm came first, whispering the promise of war.
From the swamp they came down, unseen, unheard. And with a single flame, he lit the war of the swamp.
Flaming arrows rained from the dark, Adani. A storm within the storm. The rain could not drown the fire, nor fear.
They struck like lightning Rajiat and vanished like ghosts before dawn. At dawn, a column marched north and stoke, straight into the jaws of the swamp. Major Dade led his men through silence, unaware that death moved beside them.
One drumbeat plifered, and the forest awoke.
In minutes, an entire column was gone, swallowed by the swamp's fury. Osceola watched in silence to Gvomant, not with triumph, but with the solemn fire of survival.
They vanished back into the water, leaving only echoes and ash behind.
The fort burned. Ihi, the Empire's pride smothered in smoke and rain.
Their victory was silence. Their homeland, the endless maze of water and wind.
They fought not for conquest, but to remain unconquered. And as night fell again, the swamp swallowed its warriors failed, undefeated, unseen, unbroken. October 1837 Torchelia. Osceola rode to parley under a sky heavy with deceit.
He carried a white flag, Mueth, the promise of peace beneath a storming sky.
The soldiers waited some, faces expressionless, hearts unreadable. Under the gray veil of rain, words of peace met eyes of war.
Your war has cost too much. Sign, and we will end this blood.
Safe? Beyond the swamp, there is no home.
Then came the signal, silent, irreversible.
Peace became the snare, the white flag, a weapon.
In the downpour, honor drowned beneath iron.
Iron closed upon the swamp's proudest son.
You call this honor? Even the swamp has more truth than your word.
Even among the victors, silence weighed heavier than triumph.
He was taken not by strength, but by treachery wrapped in civility.
In that cell of rain and shame, the war's truest warrior sat unbroken.
Even some among his captors called it dishonor, a stain that would never wash away. Peace was a traplodet, and the rain fell, as if the swamp itself wept for its betrayed son. They called him a prisoner, but his spirit filled the walls that tried to contain him. He stood behind iron, but his eyes looked beyond the ocean chiss, to freedom waiting in the mist. Among his captors, one man saw not a rebel, but a soul carved from courage. He posed not as captive, but as legend Farron, eyes steady, pride unbroken. With each stroke of paint, he reclaimed what no prison could take, his spirit. Outside, the tide moved freely, as he once did through the swamps of freedom. In dreams, he returned to the swamplet sod, to the drums, the fire, the freedom untamed. Word spread of the captive who refused to bow Sumri. His defiance traveled farther than chains. The body began to fade, but the spirit refused. Between them passed no hatred, only the quiet truth of mortality. He painted himself once more, not for battle, but for eternity.
He died sitting, as if still facing the enemy.
Those who saw him that night would say Mao. They had looked upon courage itself. Only the chains remained, cold witnesses to a fire that would not die. January 30, 1838 tells us, the tide carried his spirit home, beyond the reach of chains. They took his body, but never his spirit Milia. The swamp still whispers his name. The swamp that once hid warriors now whispers their names to the wind.
In their laughter lives the blood of those who never bowed.
They stand today as the unconquered people, a nation reborn from ashes. Osceola never signed a treaty. He never surrendered. Yet his eyes still watch Jesuit, fierce, calm, eternal.
They speak his name, not as myth, but as memory.
Generations dance where their ancestors once fought and plundered. Freedom turned into celebration. The flame that once signaled war now burns as remembrance. For the young, his story is not history, Kirithir. It is identity. The land itself remembers Tremu. Every ripple carries his name. In the silence of the swamp, his spirit still watches.
Waiting for the day when freedom needs no hiding place.